Hey guys, it's time for Bid Nerd, your daily nerd out on the most interesting car of the day. Thanks for hanging out, Nerd Herd. We love seeing the Nerd Nation expand and grow and get bigger. And we keep seeing more and more people commenting and coming in as new subscribers. And that is fantastic. We love you guys. My name is John Polnick. I'm your host of Bid Nerds, your daily nerd out, as well as my partner Michael Deeb in San Francisco. I record this show right here from the downtown Las Vegas Container Park. Come visit us if you're ever in Las Vegas. Michael Deeb, how are things going over there in San Francisco today?
Hey man, things are good, dude. It rains, it's dry. We go to restaurants, and we got the baby. I mean, the life is good, man. I think more than anything, John, what's occupying my brain spaces is how excited I am that Luftgekühlt 9 is going to be here in the Bay Area. They've obviously just announced that it's going to be in Vallejo and Mare Island. The rumors turned out to be founded and correct. I submitted my new car, so I'm excited about that. But more than anything, John, I think it's been really fun that you and Yuri and Ben and I are going to get together and do a professor run on Friday the 28th, just one day before Luftgekühlt kicks off. And that evening, our mechanic friend in Brisbane, California, is going to allow us to use his shop as an open house party that will be invite only. So if you are a member of the Nerd Herd, if you're watching this show, we would love for you to join us on Friday evening, the 28th, right before Luftgekühlt. And right after the Professor Run, we'll have a food truck there. We'll have some live music and a bunch of really cool cars. It'll be invite only, so reach out to us if you think you're going to be in the Bay Area for Luftgekühlt, and we will give you the destination address and the time that it starts, because this will be an invite only event. So a little bit of giving back, a little love for the herd.
Right on. All right, guys. What we do on this channel, if you're new to the channel, if you're just checking us out for the first time, we find the most interesting car from all the auction sites like BAT and Cars and Bids and PCAR Market, just like you do. You're into watching and paying attention to the values of cars because it's a lot of fun, right? What we do is we have a conversation about that one car that we think is going to inspire the most interesting conversation. The car may not be the most expensive or the most valuable or most rare or anything, but something about it makes it the car that we think is going to be the most fun thing to talk about. And then we get to the really nitty gritty. We get to predicting what will happen with that car's auction. At the end of this episode, stick around to the very end. We will reconcile our predictions with what actually happened. So we will complete the circle. We'll tell you the whole story of this car. So stick around. It's a lot of fun. It's kind of like The Price is Right, only instead of making predictions about washer and dryers, we're talking about really cool cars that we all love. All right. Big shout out to our good friends at Godden Classic of Las Vegas for supporting the show. They make it happen. If you want to avoid all these auction sites and find a classic Porsche that's the right Porsche for you, check out Godden Classic of Las Vegas. All right. Michael Deeb, what is the most interesting car of the day?
Ooh, JP. All right. So there are landmark moments for a lot of auto manufacturers, and I think this car kind of represents one. What we're talking about here on Bring a Trailer is this 1993 Ferrari 348 TB Serie Speciale. This car is offered out of Bellevue, Washington, and is showing just 24,000 miles. The Serie Speciale are numbered cars. There was 100 for the world, and some of them were Targas called TSs, and then some of them were Berlinettas, TBs. This is one of the hardtop versions, and they're numbered. This is number 44 out of 100 for the world. And I got to tell you, JP, Ferrari was doing something that Porsche had already started doing, I think, with a one-make series called the Challenge Series. And so people, gentlemen racers, amateurs, they could afford to buy a 348 and plan to race it. They could buy a special version of the car that was a track-only version, and Ferrari would help bring the car to the track. The gentlemen, these millionaires in the day, would just arrive and drive and have a lot of fun and sip champagne. What Ferrari decided to do is take some of the special parts that they developed for the challenge car and put them onto a limited edition version for the street. In essence, helping to promote the series and vice versa. And I'd say they were very successful at that. And so what we got here is they took an average 348 and they turned up the wick. So from 300 horsepower, I think this car now makes like 312. It probably revs a little higher, probably makes a little bit more torque. They issued the 17-inch wheels and went with these 18-inch forged Speedline wheels. Probably got a little bit louder exhaust. The grill that went across the taillights was removed, exposing the taillights. And then up front, we got a deeper front chin spoiler and a fixed tow hook to put right into the tow hook eye hole that's on the car. And then the big news on the inside was the first time we saw carbon Kevlar fixed back seats into a production Ferrari since the F40. So finally, in a car that theoretically somebody could actually afford. But the seats are super comfortable and they look gorgeous. I actually like the red with the black dash and the black carpets, but the tan fixed back seats looks really cool in this car. So this car is actually an early version of what would go on to be like the 360 Challenge Stradale and the F430 Scuderia and the 488 Speciale, 458 Speciale and the 488 Pista. This was actually the great great grandfather of all of those cars. Now, these cars could be had for, 80 to $100,000 for years, while 348s were typically 40, 45,000 bucks. But with inflation, with a spike in the market, 348s are starting to bring respectable money in the 60 to 80 to $100,000 range. So the question is, now that we found a really nice example in the right colorway, red with tan, arguably the more attractive version being a Berlinetta, and with super low miles, is this car destined on Bring It Tyler to bring the bank? I think it will, and that's why I thought we'd cover it. John, I know you love 348s. I know you've come close to actually purchasing a 348 Spider on a couple of occasions, and I hope one day that you get one, that you like take the plunge and with courage go out and buy one day. If I were to get one, you know me, I'm a sucker for the special editions. This is absolutely the one I would love to have. Challenge Stradales are, as we've seen, 250 to 300 grand. Scuderias are now bringing 300 grand. 458s have always been $400,000, and Pistas are like $500,000 bucks. Is this the last special edition driver focused Ferrari that somebody could afford for well under $200,000 and a gated manual transmission? I think it is. So I send it to you. I know I don't think you would spend this much on a Ferrari, but tell me you love this car with the cool wheels and the fixed back seats. This thing is pretty bitchin', right?
Oh man. I mean, I love this car. I love 348s. Always been a fan of 348s, even when people hated them. Kind of like 964s. I always consider these to be the 964 of Porsche, of Ferrari. It's a car that just underappreciated, and it's just now starting to be realized. And it's fun looking at these pictures because I'm from the Northwest and I recognize a lot of these places.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I love this car, but I don't see this particular version ever being in my garage because I just don't know if I'd be willing to spend the extra money for this, for the extra stuff on this, unless there was a way to get it, at a discount or something like that. I just don't think the extras are worth the squeeze.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the motor that they put in this car wound up coming out on the production car for the final 2 years. So the 94 and 95 got this version of the engine with that a little bit wider rear track. I think there was a rethinking of parts of the suspension. They changed the geometry a little bit, or maybe the valving on the shocks was upgraded to a better carrier. And then certainly this little squeeze in the output from like 300 or 295 up to 312 became standard the next couple of years. But it was only available in 93 on these special editions. And so, as such, and the fact that they're numbered, people are paying a premium. So, without further ado, John, our car closes in about 4 days from now. So, it's still a little bit early, but our car is already at $95,000. And in fact, I think it got bids this morning because in my notes it was 90 grand, which is probably from last night. So, it's at $95,000 on, let me see if I can read this to you, JP. Boop, 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 boop. 95,000 on 21 bids. I had originally thought I was going out on a limb to say $127,000, but I'm going to add 10 grand to that. I think I've talked myself up on this car. I do think this one ticks all the right boxes with the low miles, the colorway, the numbered series, the fact that it's a numbered plaque bolted into the door frame. And the fact that it's a Berlinetta and not a Targa. Most of the time I remember seeing these, or a lot of times that I've seen them as Targas. I think the fact that this one's a Berlinetta is the reason why this one's actually going to do well. So I'm going to give you $137,000 when it closes and it sells at that price. I think somebody's going to recognize this for what it is, a one of a 100 edition with a numbered plaque and those cool seats, and somebody's going to break the bank for it. I don't know if that's a high watermark. I've just not seen enough of these transact in this country to tell you if that's accurate or not. And if this car brought 150, I wouldn't be surprised. I'd be more shocked if it stalled out at like 107 and failed to sell. So I'm going to give it back to you, John, at $137,000. You think I'm smoking weed, or do you think we're right on the money here? Where are you at?
Yeah, I'm going to be pretty close to you. I don't know. I mean, we talk about the economy a lot and what's going on with the Feds making an announcement when we record this show
Yeah,
right now. That's before the
worth taking
announcement.
in.
So
Yep.
a lot of craziness could be in the news later this week. And I would not really love having a car auction ending on any day this week.
You're so
Just
right.
because
You're
who
so
the
right.
heck knows what's going to happen. Now, on the flip side, if we talk about, if you watch any of the episodes, I'm always harping on inflation and asset classes and what the Feds are doing and all that kind of stuff. The value of money is in play, right? The value of the US dollar really is something that we're trying to figure out what it actually is. And depending on what the Feds decide here tomorrow at the time of this recording, will determine a lot of that. That said, we that typically, when you have money in flux, when you have a lot of inflation happening or people aren't sure what the value of the dollar is going to be, you wind up seeing gold go up. You wind up seeing crypto is on a tear right now. They're totally ripping. Crypto has gone up 30% or more in the last week, right?
Yep.
And, so as things look worse for the US dollar and the US economy, people are looking for safe places to put their money. And it's not a crazy idea to put your money into a blue chip classic car, which this kind of is. Normally a 348 wouldn't be considered a blue chip, but this one being the Speciale with the TB and the hardtop and all the right things, it's like it kind of is. You could put your money in worse places. Putting your money under the mattress could mean a 20% loss over the course of the next 6 months, just because of inflation alone, right? Whereas on this car, you may not be able to necessarily sell it, but there should be some value there. The price will definitely go up. I don't know how much mobility there will be in the coming months as far as, I don't mean mobility and driving around, but I mean mobility and capital. Will you be able to buy? Will people be spending money, or will they just be sitting on it? I don't know, but I'm definitely going to be bearish. I'm going to say 130, but I don't think that's
a good number. That's a really good number.
Who the heck knows? But yeah, I'm just going to be a little under just because I'm that guy. What do you guys think with what's going on in the economy? Are classic cars a good place to park some money and try to offset the effects of inflation? Or is this the worst place you could put your money? Because who's going to go out and buy a classic car when they're worried about the economy and whether or not they're still going to have a job, or whether or not their bank will be able to cover their paycheck, that comes from the payroll.
God.
Yeah. These are things that people are really actually having to think about right now. And the other thing too is like, not only like people are blaming the banks right now, and the people are blaming the depositors, like the SVB breakdown of a week ago. Everyone's going, oh, these darn crazy tech guys and these banks making investments and making dumb investments. It's like, well, okay, great. You can have your money parked somewhere that you think is safe, maybe a safer bank, but where is your payroll coming from? If you have a normal job, who is your employer using to write your check every month? Are they are they paying attention to where the money should be? And is putting your money in the bank now more like giving a loan to the bank? Essentially, you're giving your money to the bank, and they're going off and making these crazy investments, 10-year stupid bonds and stuff like that. Oh my God. I mean, at this point, I'm like, yeah, you know what? Screw it. I'm putting the money in the cars. Forget the banks, forget crypto. How many other FTXs are floating around out there that, the lack of transparency in crypto has me kind of freaked out even more too. So it's like, well, I guess classic cars, fine. I won't be able to eat a classic car, but at least I'll be able to drive around.
Well, and John, the irony is, over the last 20 years, it's performed better than almost all of them, right? Like, good God.
Where are you guys putting your money? Classic cars, is that a good place to do it? What do you think of the price of this car, or rather, what do you think the results of the auction will be in just a couple of days from now? Now's the time to put your bid in the box in the comments below to see if you're better at this than we are. Am I a nervous Nelly? Is everything going to be just fine and the values of these are going to keep going up and up and up till the end of time? Or is the market going to take a dump? Let us know in the comments below. We sure love hearing from you guys. And thanks for hitting the subscribe, like, and notification button. You guys really are awesome. We said it at the beginning of the show. I'll say it again in the show. We love the Nerd Herd. Thank you guys so much for watching the show. All right. The show isn't over. We still got the whole other half of the show to go. We will find out what happens with this beautiful 348 right after this. Hey guys, I got to tell you about our friends Godden Porsche of Las Vegas and Godden Classic. If you're looking for a new Porsche or a classic, you got to call our friend Steve at Godden. This guy.
1989 linen gray metallic G50 cab.
Is that going to be for sale?
It is going to be for sale. The car only has 65,000 miles.
Save yourself the hassle of screwing around with all the auctions like we always talk about, and just talk to Steve. He'll find you the classic Porsche you're looking for. Godden Porsche of Las Vegas.
If you love watching car videos on YouTube, you got to check out my channel, The Rami Show. Oh, this car! I am driving a 2020 Lamborghini SVJ. This car, watch this. Oh!
That was weeks ago when we filmed that, and I'm still kind of like, freaked out by it.
In one of those quick cuts of the Lamborghini, it looks like there's like a military helicopter just coming over the ridge.
There is, yeah. Go back and
what's going on there?
So, guys, go watch that video on the Rami Show channel. That's one of our sister channels. There was a couple of Blackhawks randomly cruising below the mountain line when we were out there shooting that film. It was really awesome. You can see them better.
They were probably dispatched by Nellis Air Force Base thinking Rami was an alien, you know?
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point.
They weren't accidentally there, JP.
Right. Whenever you're rolling with Rami, you gotta, you can't just think that's random things are happening.
Yeah, there are 9 in the chamber.
Welcome to the future, everyone. Thanks for sticking around. I know you guys are waiting for the results on this Ferrari 348. What happened with that? Just want to say thanks again to all of the people who are commenting in the comment box down below. We love that you guys are always there and being a part of the show. That really makes us fun to do the show. So thank you very much. Luftkult is coming up at the end of the month here. If you're watching this, I don't know. This episode might still be in February or March. So the Luftkult is at the end of April. So at the end of next month, I guess we would say, depending on when this show actually goes up. We had Patrick Long on our other channel. If you guys haven't checked out the Dur or Die Porsche podcast, we do that twice a week. And we just talk about all things that are going on in Porsche world. We are constantly complaining about everything. Or when I say we, I mean me. And Patrick Long follows us on the socials. And we made some fun memes about how everyone's been getting accepted. So now it's like, we're not special. And Patrick is like, the takeaway is that you guys will always complain. So that's hilarious. So I actually got him as a surprise guest on the most recent episode of Dur or Die at the Dur or Die Porsche podcast. So go check that out if you haven't done it.
That's awesome.
Good times.
Good sport. He was a good sport.
Great sport, man. He patched in from like a municipal airport after flying from Sonoma in the middle of the night. So it was really cool that he took some time.
That's cool.
All right, let's get to the results of this Ferrari. Everyone's like, whatever, man. Get to that darn F car.
Yeah. What happened? All right. Well, JP, listen, the dialogue that's dominated the last 2 weeks of doing the show has been the state of the economy because of the failure of the banks and the Fed wanting to raise interest rates. As such, you and I have cautiously watched the market thinking that there might just be a hold and that things would fail to sell. With that in mind, I'll give you my bid was $137,000 on this beautiful 93 348 TB Serie Speciale, of which I think is one of 100. And you came in naturally under me at 130,000. in my heart, I really wanted to bid like $145,000 to $150,000 with this car, but that still wouldn't have prepared me for the mark that this car reached. Our car sold for $188,000 on JP. Are you ready for this? 58 bids which was the high water mark for the number of bids on all of the lots that we covered from last week. So congratulations to everyone involved. Decent photos, rare car, the right color, the right options being a Berlinetta and not a Targa. If this is really going to be, a carbon fixed back seat track special with pieces from the challenge car on it, then it really should be the Berlinetta in this regard. And it's not that I'm shitting or essing on Targas. I'm just saying if this is really a track car, then it should be the hardtop. So I think this car, and it had low miles, and it was on the right platform, and it ticked all the right boxes, and this one really kicked off. I kind of bid with my head because of the dialogue that we had, John. I kind of regretted not bidding with my heart, but I still would have come up short because at nearly $190,000, in fact over 190 with the buyer's premium, this car I think is probably set. It's certainly in this modern version of the market for the car, a new high watermark. So again, well done. I'm glad we covered it. I think this is the type of result, JP, that's going to continue to lift 348 prices. The way we are seeing some 964s now bring more money than their 993 counterparts, are we going to start to see 348 prices rival that of what a 355 can bring, apples to apples. So it'll be interesting to see if that's where this leads us. 355 prices are still through the roof, but I think this is the type of the result that's we should see a lot more 348s come to market as people try to cash in on this heating up of the market. Does that make sense? I send it back to you, John. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that this car is really special, and that's why it brought the big money. I don't necessarily think that this means 348s are coming up in value. I do think that 348s are coming to the auctions because people will think that now they're worth a bunch of money. Making the mistake of thinking that a lesser 348, that this 348 will lift the tide for all the other ones, I think is probably going to be a mistake. On a previous show earlier in the week, we talked about this, what was it? A 76 mid-year 911 with a
Carrera 3-liter.
Carrera 3-liter, but it had a 3.6 liter, like 993 engine in it. So it wasn't the original engine, blah, 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 all these weird things going on. And that car, I way underbid that, like by 100%. I was way off. Right. Because I just, with the things that are going on in the economy, I just think that weird stuff ain't going to hold the value. That's not what you want to be left holding the bag with if there is a problem with this market, if you're looking at it as a market class. However, this 348, on the other hand, is the kind of car that if you do get stuck holding the bag of something, this is what you want to hold, right? I mean, this is the car because this is a special car. Long term, this car will be worth something. Long term, I'm not sure if that 76 911 with not the original engine is going to be the car.
Yeah.
Or rather is going to be the value. So I don't know. I've always loved 348s. I've always kind of liked them better than almost any Ferrari because I've always looked at them as the 964, but I just don't think that's going to be realized. I think at this point prices may continue to go up, but I think that's more a matter of inflation than it is really increase in values.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, it's a really good take, and we'll see what happens as I think more cars will come to market. There's certainly a ton of them out there, and they have been, like the 964, unloved for decades. And so it's nice to see even a special one have its moment. And I, for one, will not be upset if more of these cars come to market. One of these days, one of the two of us is going to have to put our money where our mouth is and buy one of these damn things so we can both drive it.
Well, we'll be able to afford one. What will happen to reserve prices on these? That's what's going to be really tricky for guys like, the people that accept the ads at Bring a Trailer. If they're sitting there, some guy has his 91 clapped out 348 is like, oh, that one went for $180 or whatever. He's going to want a $75, $80, $100,000, reserve. And it's yes. Okay. It might be a $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 car, but it's not going to be $100,000 car if it's not a really nice one. And certainly not if it's, what do you think?
Well, BAT won't give it to him. He'll have to go to P-Car Market, and that'll be, we all know that that's kind of a fatal flaw. That's like playing roulette, really. I don't know what the story is at Cars and Bids. I've never worked with them. We'll have to ask some of our guests what it's like to negotiate a thing. I know didn't you run the cars you ran at Cars and Bids? Did you actually run them with no reserve?
That's a good question. I think the first one I ran with I think they were both.
Yeah, the
reserve.
Cayenne, you had a Cayenne and the LeBaron, both went manuals. They were both manuals, and they were both no reserve. That's my recollection.
Yeah, you're right.
But I wonder what it's like to negotiate a reserve with Cars and Bids, which I don't know. I will tell you, BAT won't give it to him. So if that guy's confident that the car is going to make the mark, albeit he's standing on a ridiculous reserve, then he's going to have to gamble it for himself, because I don't think BAT is going to give him. Now, they might budge the reserves incrementally, but to your point, and I experienced this when I started at Godden in 2017, essentially, we had just had a high watermark for the air-cooled 911 market in like 14, 15, and 16. And I spent the first year and a half, 2 years, basically appraising guys who wanted to sell their 930 turbos, because everybody thought that the cars were worth 150 grand, because that's what the good ones were bringing 2 years prior, the good ones. And that's an important distinction. And guys were rolling these crappy 930s into smoking and hissing and no original parts. And what's his name, Frank Collins and I looked at a car where they had filed off like the chassis number, and guys were telling us like, hey, I want 150 grand for this car. And I'm like, it's not worth that. Like, I can't get 150. I'm certainly not going to give you 150 for it. And it was just brutal. So a high water mark could absolutely, mess up the expectations of the average owner of a 348. So it'll be interesting, but BAT won't budge. I'm telling you that right now. They'll move the needle a little bit, but they're not gonna start, letting people shoot for the moon with their cars that aren't going to bring that kind of money. It's just not going to happen.
What do you guys think of the result of this amazing 348? Is this car really, is this as special as it looks, or do you think, it's not worth the extra squeeze? Why wouldn't you just get a less expensive one? Do you think this is going to raise the value of other 348s? Is it going to be harder to get a lesser 348? Let us know in the comments below. We love reading your guys' opinions, and we learn a lot from you guys. I'm always shocked how much knowledge there is out there contributing to in the nerd herd. It's like, we need to get those people on. We don't know what we're talking about at all. And if I haven't said it in a while, let me remind you guys, don't listen to us. We don't know what we're talking about. All right. Stick around for another edition of Bid Nerds. That'll be tomorrow. Thanks again to our good friends at Godden Porsche of Las Vegas, Michael D. We'll see ya.
Nerd! Get those words!